Hey guys, it's not going to kill you to watch another ukulele video. Let's hang around here for a little bit. What we've seen in the last few videos is going through the scale tone 7 chords, the major 7, the minor 7, and the dominant 7. The 1, 4, and 5 are major triads. Say we're in C, we have C, F, and G. We also learned that the 5 chord could be a dominant 7, so we could have C, F, G7, and C. We learned that the 2, 3, and 6 are the minors, so I could have C major. The second chord in the scale is D minor. The third is E minor. The 4 is F. 5 is G or G7. Then we could go to the A minor or the A minor 7. Either one of those. And we've been avoiding the 7th chord in the key. C, D, E, F, G, A, B is the 7th chord. And we found out that it's diminished. The major chord has a root, a third, and a fifth. The 3 is a major 3. It's 2 whole steps above C. So from C to D to E is the third, and we have an E in that C chord. In the F, the third is an A, and in G it's a B. From G to B, for instance, G to A to B. In the minor chords, it's the same scale distance. It's a third, but it's only a minor third. It's a step and a half rather than 2 full steps. You know how the scale works with whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. The minor chords encounter that half step between their root and their third. So, for instance, the D chord, D is the root, D, E, F is the third, but E and F are only a half step apart, so it's a minor third. In the E to G, in the E minor chord, E, F, G is the distance to the third, but from E to F is a half step, so we've only gone a step and a half. Same thing with A. From A to C is the third, A, B, C, but we know that B to C is a half step, so again that's a step and a half from A to C. The B chord in the key of C has the same thing happening. From B to D, B, C, D, the third from B is the D, but we had a half step from B to C and then a whole step from C to D, so we've got a minor third again. But it's not a minor chord because also the fifth is a minor third away from the third. When we go from B to D in the key of C, the next note, D, E, F, the fifth is also only a step and a half away. So we've got a minor third and a flatted fifth. It's called a diminished fifth. So the diminished triad has a flat 3 and a flat 5. In C, the diminished triad is on the B. We would have an F note, a D note, and a B note. Recognize that that doesn't look very lovely. Not easy to play at all, and we almost never do the diminished triad. What we do is the fully diminished 7 chord. Almost every time you see a chart that asks for a diminished chord, a B diminished, with this little tiny 0 on it, or the word diminished, when you see that they've written a chord chart for you, they're showing you this kind of picture, a fully diminished 7 chord. The fully diminished 7 is not a diatonic chord. It actually has a note out of the scale, but it's the chord they always want to see anyway. A half diminished 7 or a minor 7 flat 5, it would be a B minor chord with a flatted fifth. So I'd have B, F, D, and the 7 of B, the flat 7 of B actually, is an A. So we would call that the minor 7 with a flat 5 is minor 7, flat the F sharp to F, minor 7 flat 5, or also called the half diminished 7 chord. It's a root, a flat 3, minor 3, a flat 5, diminished fifth, and a flat 7, also known as a minor 7. So it's got a minor third, a diminished fifth, and a minor 7 in it. That would be the diatonic 7 chord in that key. That's what belongs in the key. You would need to know a new fingering and a new shape for every one of them. So if I were in G, I'd have G, A minor, B minor, C, D7, E minor, and F sharp diminished. I'd need an F sharp note, a minor third. The key of G has an A note in it. That's a minor third of the F. we'd have a C natural, and another A maybe here. So the F sharp half diminished would be F sharp, A's, and C's. You would need a special fingering for that chord. So what ends up happening is in almost every case they actually want a fully diminished 7. Not only a minor 3, the flat 3, and not only a diminished 5, the flat 5, but a double flat 7, a diminished 7. Hence it's called fully diminished. It's got a diminished 5 and a diminished 7. You don't have to know all this theory. What you have to do is memorize this shape. This is called a symmetrical chord. From root to flat 3 is a minor third. From flat 3 to flat 5 or diminished 5 is a minor third. From diminished 5 to double flat 7 or diminished 7 is a minor third. And from diminished 7 back to the root is a minor third. Every interval is a minor third. So that means that no matter which note in that chord you're starting on, if you go a minor third, minor third, minor third from it, you're going to get diminished. If you start on the next note, you've got minor third, minor third, minor third, a diminished again. So every note in that chord is going to be the root. That means if we learn this shape, that means if we play this shape, which I had to correct, I drew the fingers in the wrong frets there, we would have, for instance, a pinky on the first string, middle finger on the second string, 1 fret back, ring finger on the third string, and pointer on the fourth. Fret-wise, in this one I'm doing, it would be 2, 1, 2, and 1. You could also bar those ones and play 2, 1 in a bar, 2, 1 in a bar. Every note in there gets to be the root. So there's a B note there. That means it's a B diminished chord. So in the key of C, I could do that one. C, D minor, E minor, F, G7, A minor, B diminished. Lots of tension, and it leads you back to the C. So that one is a B diminished because it has a B note there. It has a D note here. So D could be the root of that. This could be a D diminished chord. There's a G sharp note on the fourth string, so it could be a G sharp diminished chord, or an F diminished chord based on this note. Since every note in that chord can be the root, we get 4 different diminished chords from this position. All I have to do then is move it up 1 fret. I get 4 more chords. I've got a C diminished, an F sharp diminished, an E flat or D sharp diminished, and an A diminished. If I move it up again, I've got 4 more. That would be a C sharp or D flat diminished, a G diminished, an E diminished, and a B flat or A sharp diminished. Every note is the root. You haven't done the math yet, but I just did 3 chords with 4 names each. 3 times 4 is 12. That's all the notes we have. So every diminished chord you could be asked for could be played with one of those 3. Or I could add one more where I fall off the back of the ukulele and I have an open, I have a 1, an open, a 1, and an open. That's the same chord. So this chord is the same format as this one. If this was a 1, 2, 1, 2, and I slid it back 1 fret, I'd have open 1, open 1. Now all of those notes could be the root of a diminished chord. So it could be a G diminished, a C sharp or D flat diminished, an E diminished for this open E string, or an A sharp / B flat diminished. With this and this, you've got all your diminished 7 chords. Those are fully diminished 7 chords, but in your books they'll just show the little 0 on it, and that means they want a diminished chord. So in C, we had the C, 1 fret behind C is the B, we can build a diminished, and finish it off back on C. In the key of G, we have G, A minor, B minor, C, D7, E minor. 1 fret back of G is F sharp. Using that note, I can build a diminished chord. F sharp, diminished to G. In the key of D, we have D major, the 1, E minor, the 2, F sharp minor, the 3, G major, the 4, A or A7, the 5, B minor, the 6, and 1 fret back from D is this C sharp. So I can use this diminished with a C sharp in it to resolve to D. I could do E major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B7, C sharp minor, and then 1 fret back from one of these E's is a D sharp, so I can make a D sharp diminished. Same picture, but now I've got it at the 3rd fret, 3, 2, 3 for the D sharp note, leading you up to the E. They all work that way. So learn this one, but you have to know the notes on your ukulele, and you can locate this chord on any one of them. So if I've got this shape and I need an A flat diminished, I'll look at this and go, well, where can I get an A flat with this chord? There's an A note right there, so I can flat the chord, 1, 2, 1, 2, there's an A flat diminished. Or I could look at this finger. I've got an A flat on the 2nd string at the 4th fret. So I can make the chord there. 4, 5, 4, 5. There's an A flat, and there's an A flat, both diminished 7s. To get from one A flat to the next, 1, 2, 3, I went up 3 frets. You know that's the case because we only have 3 repeating chords. We've got A flat here, up 3 frets is another A flat diminished with the root on the 2nd string, up another 3 frets. There's another A flat diminished with the root there on the 3rd string. 1, 2, 3. I'm getting a little tight there. I got another A flat diminished with the A flat up on the top string. So wherever you are, you're only 3 frets away from one of your chords. If I needed a G diminished, I could have this one. Open G, and then this shape. 3 frets up, 1, 2, 3, fill in the chord. This note's on a G. 1, 2, 3, frets up, this note's on a G. 1, 2, 3, frets up, this note's on a G. So your diminished 7 or your diminished chord is going to move all over the neck, and you only have that one grip needed, although back here you'll see it's got open strings. One more scale might suffice. F is the 1, G minor the 2, A minor the 3, B flat the 4, C7, D minor, and then I need an E diminished. Open E will give us an E diminished here to F. Or I could grab this E that you know about and put the diminished there. Let's leave her at that now. Hopefully that was clear enough for you guys. So now you know your major and major 7, minor and minor 7, the dominant 7 for the 5 chord, and the diminished or diminished 7 for the 7th chord. That's your entire key. So take it easy, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.